As far back as I can remember, I dreamt of a normal life. A life filled with normal things. A life where monsters don't live in closets or under the bed. A life where ghosts aren't real. I just wanted to be normal. But that didn't happen. It wasn't meant to be. Since my early 20s, I have experienced profound paranormal events that would change my life. Extreme poltergeist activity, living amongst those that have departed this earth in ways unimaginable. It has affected my loved ones and children with no end in sight. I could hear things, see things, and feel things not of this world. I asked myself if this was a gift or a curse. With the help of my mother and close friends, I emerged a paranormal investigator. Since 2013, I have been on a relentless journey to learn about the paranormal. This is my time to share my journey with you. Welcome to my Paranormal Soapbox. Hello and welcome to my Paranormal Soapbox. I'm your friendly neighborhood ghost hunter, Justin Brown, and we are presenting episode 80. And we are going to be discussing synchronicity. It is an element of the paranormal that is popular, but not always discussed and talked about and emphasized on. It is in the occult. It is in certain aspects of the paranormal, but I feel like at least I haven't seen it talked about a lot. There's been a lot of books, a lot of research. We're going to go into it, but thank you for joining me tonight. We got a couple more before we take a Christmas break, and we are glad to see you here. I see everybody chiming in, and hopefully it's going to be an awesome show. Please feel free to share out the stream. We got Jess and Melissa, aka Missy, with us here tonight. Are you girls ready?
Ready.
I know Jess is probably somewhat interested in the topic tonight. I know of...
Well, you've brought it up to me numerous times, and it was kind of, hopefully I can get it this way, better understanding.
All right, well, I'll if I don't do a good job to explaining it, you can make me work at it.
Perfect. Why wouldn't I be interested in this?
I didn't say you didn't. I just know me and Jess talked about it. So...
Oh. Okay.
If you let me know if it's interesting.
Okay.
All right, guys. Feel free to chat amongst yourselves. Chat if you're on Facebook. Chat with people on YouTube and vice versa. Share the stream. Keep the chat clean. Keep it classy. Let's talk about this. It's an aspect of the mind and perception and subjective experience that is very important. I think this topic's important, and hence why we're talking about it, right? So, the idea of synchronicity started with a gentleman named Carl Jung. He was a material psychologist, and he pretty much started a lot of subsets of parapsychology that people are working on today when it comes to synchronicity, some occult aspects, and I do believe there was another one. When you get into the astrology, when you get into magic practices and like alchemy and stuff like that, that intersects with the paranormal, and there's some things to be learned, and there's some information that we can see is valuable when it comes to talking about the paranormal. So that's why we're bringing those things in. I want to touch on most of those things, about with the occult and the magic and everything, but I want to focus on what synchronicity means in the paranormal field when it's applied to ghost hunting and the psychic phenomena. Okay. So 1950s, Carl Jung, he is trying to develop his own techniques and ideas in psychology. And there was an interesting story. He was doing a therapy session with a young lady who was having this dream about this golden scarab. She couldn't understand why she was having this dream about this golden beetle which is a scarab. And she's telling her psychiatrist, which is Carl Jung at the time, about these dreams, and he's trying to make sense of it. And what was fascinating was at the time they were discussing the dream with the golden scarab, a golden colored beetle started tapping really hard on the glass of the window in the office they were in. So they walk over and they look and they find a golden beetle. And what is fascinating about this is that insect was not indigenous to the area that they were in. And a lot of people who are, not aligned or subscribed to the paranormal like we are would look at that as coincidence. But Carl Jung looked at it differently. Okay. He saw this as a meaningful coincidence, which he dubbed, a synchronistic event. So, and what synchronicity means, defined by Carl Jung, was a meaningful coincidence that occurs with no causal reason. There's no reason for the beetle to fly in and tap on the window when the lady was discussing her dream about the beetle. And what we're going to be talking about alongside these synchronistic events is patterns. Universal patterns, what forces that be, whether it be supernatural, spiritual, what have you, there seems to be this alignment of patterns of events that somehow magically happen without any real cause to them. Okay, and this could be pretty broad. Okay, it could mean that some people, when they feel like things are getting weird and they constantly see numbers pop up, okay, that is an example of synchronicity. Okay, and you constantly see a name or a word pop up and you've already drawn notice to it and it seems to happen again and again. That is considered synchronicity. When you're doing something, when you're in the realm of the paranormal and you're in the realm of the supernatural, the brain is designed to immediately notice patterns. It's a pattern noticing machine. Okay. So with that being said, the brain is going to automatically search out and focus in on these things and perhaps give them more meaning than they would normally. Okay. So what is interesting is when you give notice to these certain things, they seem, based on the human perception and the reports of people, to happen more often and more frequency. Okay. And what's even stranger is when you're working with psychical research, working with psychic phenomena, investigating the paranormal events, paranormal claims, high strangeness is going on, the more synchronistic events that occur increases the strangeness of the situation. So what does that mean? Well, in the parapsychology realms, it definitely means that you're tapping in to an altered state of perception that has a physical manifestation reality. According to Carl Jung, this is what the implications are. So you are affecting, or your situation is being worked out physically somehow without a deterministic function, without a model of causality. And what this synchronicity is looking at is acausal things that happen without deterministic models and processes. Okay, a perfect example of cause and effect would be if you lined up dominoes and you hit that first domino, all of them will knock them, all the adjacent ones over until you get to the end. And that's like a very crude model of cause and effect. Well, when you get the idea of free will, which is us causing things and choosing those things to occur, that's when you get a model of chaos. Okay, that's when chaos can ensue. So when there is a model of chaos, then, even stranger things can occur. You can't always predict what can happen. And out from this chaos comes these synchronistic events that seem magical, that seem outside of logic and outside of scientific understanding. So here we are, wondering how to interpret these synchronistic events and what it implies based on the situation that we are in. If you have in the chat experienced synchronistic events, I definitely want to hear about them, what the implications are, what the situation is, and what your interpretation of those synchronistic events are. If you don't have an interpretation and want to know what someone in the chat thinks or what I think or Jess or Missy thinks, that's the meaning of the show tonight. We want to talk about this. We want to look at what the literature and the research over years says about it. We want to know what your experiences are, what you think about it, and we're going to try to have fun. But we're going to head into this talking about the parallels between astrology, because synchronicity is a huge thing when talking about astrology. Magic, okay? If you are a practitioner of magic or you're studying the occult or anything like that, witchcraft, anything like that, synchronicity is a huge part of it, okay? And we'll get into that here in just a minute. And anything supernatural or just weird, okay? When it comes to UFO sightings, when it comes to cryptid research, ghost research, synchronistic events seem to pop up more and more. And you have to wonder, is this a sign of reality shifting into a realm of strangeness that would imply that your reality is set aside or apart from what people would define as reality? A lot of people, including myself in my life, has experienced these type of things. And once I set these type of things, my perception of these things up next to what logically is supposed to be real, it doesn't. There's no symmetry there, okay? So that is why we're here. That's why we believe in the paranormal. We try to research it, understand it, trying to figure things out. And you have to ask the question, are we crazy? Are we just, interpreting this all wrong? Or is there something out there? Well, Carl Jung and many others, during that 1950 period and on, were asking these questions and believed themselves that there are paranormal events out there that could give rise to these type of phenomena. So, with that being said, we're going to start talking to people. We're going to start shouting out people. We're going to start becoming a full-blown conversation, hopefully. Who do we got over there on Facebook, Missy?
We got Derek. We've got Laura. We got Gina. We got Anthony, Josh, Valerie, Eddie, Janet, Sandy, and Heather. And on RU Media, we have Arnie.
Yay! Thanks for joining us, guys.
All right, on YouTube, there's Darren Smith, Levin MZRE, MP, Gateway Paranormal, Tim, Betty, and Hannah.
What's up, guys? Anything going on in chat? I see some stuff of Christmas and.
Oh yeah, stuff. Betty and I was talking Christmas stuff. Mothman just came on.
Of course, he's not missing this.
Valerie said, my synchronicities come to me in numbers all the time. Sometimes they come to me in repeating visions or words, but mostly numbers.
Okay, so numbers is fascinating, and I did not touch on that on the introduction, but numerology is big on synchronistic things. And we're going to start off this conversation, and I'm glad Mothman Historian's here because he has a little bit to play in this. So he's going to be thrilled to hear that. I have synchronicity all the time. When I do research on the paranormal and I do energy work, I feel like a lot of people like myself and, and other people like me, they're working on a level that's just outside what you would normally think a brain works, okay? On a psychic level, let's just say that when you're peering into the paranormal, supernatural realms, synchronistic things start to happen. Like, for example, if I'm researching a topic or having an idea about some paranormal video content that I want to do, things will come to me. Okay, so the law of attraction has a lot to do with synchronicity. Okay, when you're trying to focus in on something, research something, and find information on things, the more psychic phenomena that you are stirring up, the more you're stirring the chili of the psychic realm, the more things attract to you. And that, I believe, is the main reason why synchronistic events occur. So, for example, you have suggested YouTube things. If you go down a rabbit hole on YouTube or online, searching through websites, things will pop in that you just didn't actively search for. Things come to you. Okay? Hopefully you follow. So one thing leads to one thing leads to one thing. It could be considered as a wild goose chase. It could mean something. Okay? So it started on Instagram. I saw a post of Daniel Dunn from Paraholics wearing a Levelin Frogman t-shirt. And it was a cool shirt. And I commented on the post and said, "Hey man, I only live 50 miles away from Levelin." He's like, "Well, that's cool, man. Why the hell aren't you down there investigating it?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Stuck on ghost, buddy, but that's a good question. Maybe I should." So I'm thinking about this and I'm like, you know what? I'm trying to think of different things to do. Maybe I should go down there and do something. So I jump on the podcast with the One Candle Society, and they interview me. And when I told them that I was thinking about doing it, they were all excited. So that gave me a little bit of incentive to want to go check it out. And basically, the Levelin Frogman is, people in the 1950s were seeing these little humanoid people with frog heads waving wands around. Okay? Weird. And people have been seeing this. And the more I looked into it, the more those entities are seeing from the southern Ohio Valley area through Kentucky, all the way up through the Appalachian Mountains that go from Tennessee to West Virginia to Pennsylvania and all the way up through the Appalachian Mountains. And I thought that was interesting because you got the Kentucky goblins and and you got the Flatwoods Monster and you got the Mothman and all these things starting to seem like they line up. Here's when the synchronicity occurs. Mothman historian said he brings up Hellier season 2 on Twitter, and I'm like, oh, I didn't even get to see season 1 yet. I should start watching it. Everybody says it's good, so I watched season 2, and guess what? It's about the Kentucky goblins, little green goblin reptilian people with wands and high strangeness, government conspiracy, UFO stuff all up in it. And I'm like, strange. And all through both season 1 and season 2 of Hellier, they talk about synchronicity. It's like one of the main themes of the follow doc of season 1 and season 2. So I'm like, okay. This is what normally occurs with me. If I look out to research something, things just start falling into place, like they all align. And it's weird to me. Mothman, if you contemplate the nature of the divine and these mysteries, they will take notice and you will be guided towards real enlightenment. And that's what I was talking about, the kind of law of attraction there. So real quick, I'll tell you what I think about Hellier, Mothman. I like the way it's shot. I like the way it's edited. I like the storytelling and the style of the documentary. But it's a wild goose chase. It's a rabbit hole. And they reached in places that I wouldn't feel comfortable reaching. I understand their fascination. And I understand the high strangeness of it all. But I feel like a lot of it was woo. But with that being said, it kept you watching it. And at the end of season 2, I really didn't feel like there was a payoff. So going through all that without the payoff that you would really want, it's frustrating. And of course that they use some stuff, some methods to investigate some of the things that I find very subjective and not very good research practices, obviously, but that's just my opinion. But I like the way it was done. So there's that. Any questions yet? Any comments that sparks conversations?
Yeah, Valor said my synchronicity usually hits hard when something big is about to go down, like a major life event, change, whether it be a good one or a bad one.
So my question to that would be, do you do divination like things when, like, on the onset of these changes or, significant events? You do divination before, during, or after? Is it do you practice in divination constantly, whether it be tarot cards, gazing in the crystals, any type of psychic practices that you do? Obviously, Valerie does that, but I want to see if she can elaborate on that a little bit.
Laura had a question. She said, I seem to have people put in my path that have abilities or experience with ghosts in their life. Would that be the same thing?
She's put into a path of the paranormal?
Of people with abilities or people who have had experiences with ghosts or.
Yeah, I think that goes along with the whole part of the attraction. If you are subconsciously or consciously trying to attract those things, and they do, I would not be surprised. And that could be synchronistic. I mean, that's where the wideness of the interpretation of synchronicity happens. I think anything that doesn't have a causal effect but has a meaningful coincidence to you could be considered synchronicity.
Valerie said, I look up numbers all the time. I consider these angel numbers. I believe they are messages from our spirit guides, higher self, guardian angels, whatever you may call it. And then she answered her question with, yes, I do. Tarot, oracle, usually monthly or weekly.
Okay, so that would be one area that I would look into. That would be the one explanation for the synchronicity to.
Levin says, I usually don't pay attention to synchronicity because I do not want to attract attention to myself as a sensitive because it does draw them in.
Yeah. That's what I'm seeing. And for those that are trying to research it, that's what they're trying to do. So if you are cautious about that, I can understand why that.
Gina Lynn said, my synchronicities happen in my dreams.
I would definitely want her to elaborate on that. Pick the best one, Gina. You're the best dream that you had that dealt with something. Like, are you talking about you dream about something and then it happens, or vice versa? Like, kind of elaborate on that.
Is it kind of like a psychic dream, or would that be like a psychic dream?
Yeah, I was kind of, the first thing I thought was a prophetic dream or something that happened in reality after you dreamt it, because that would be weird. But it wouldn't be weird if something happened then you dreamed about it. That would be normal, right?
Mm-hmm. To me. Hopefully not to Jess.
What's Mothman?
The Mothman mystery leads into some weird places too. And as far as clear conclusions, most paranormal events are left with nothing but loose ends. Not their fault, LOL.
Yes, that is the nature of the beast, as they say. But I think you can kind of get in over your head a lot. I think there's times when you feel like you should stop and let it resolve and be done. I think the more you try to overextend, the more your interpretation of what's going on can become less effective, if you understand what I'm saying. You have to stay grounded. Just stay grounded if you're going to look at such things.
Mothman also says some of the Heller team is based in Loveland, Colorado, by the way. Did you notice the name connection?
Yes.
Not correction.
Yes, I do. And it is, the synchronicities in the documentary are very fascinating. I do not want to minimize or discount those things. I think those are what makes the film, makes the documentary. Without the synchronicities, it would not be good at all. Nor interesting.
Valerie said, question, Justin, in the documentary earlier, what do you think about them using sensory deprivation? She says, sorry, I forgot the term. She said sensory something. She forgot the term. But when they cover their eyes and use soundproofing earmuffs.
Oh, the Gonzfeld experiment. I think I heard them refer to that, but they do a thing called the Estes method, which is sort of like that, but I have problems with the Estes method. As you guys know, it's still subjective. It's still full of holes. The narrative still could be driven by, the people listening to the person hearing the ghost box things, and it can be driven by those replies, and you can kind of have flaws in perception that way, and you may not be hearing. What I don't understand is, why don't they record the actual audio from the ghost box during the session along with their interpretation of it? I think that would be a step further to documenting correctly.
Gina Rutledge said...
Wait. Hold that. Okay. I want to answer her question, though.
Okay.
I think psychical research into these things would be beneficial in Hellier. I think if they stayed away from the Estes method, maybe played around with the God Helmet more and tried to do things more psychical, that would be more interesting to me, because they're pulling things from the universe and things from the mind that they shouldn't know about. And if you do it right, if you do the double-blind experiment correctly, with some aspects that will maybe amplify the effect, I think that would be more interesting. Go ahead.
Gina Rutledge said that has only happened once. Exactly what I dreamt came to reality. Wasn't anything of any importance. And Gina Lynn said, my dreams come true all the time. I wish I dreamt of money or someone paying my bills.
That's not how it works, Gina.
Valerie has a question. She said, this is for Jess and Missy. Have you used sensory deprivation? And if not, would you try it?
They haven't yet. They will.
Dun, dun, dun.
They don't have a choice.
Stay tuned.
We will be doing those experiments. They just haven't been notified yet.
And we won't be notified before it happens. He'll just sit us in a room and be like, put this on.
Uh-oh, my lights flickered. The electric goes off, of course you'll know why. What the hell?
I see it. Yeah, I see it going on.
Dun, dun,
That's
dun.
pretty weird.
What the fuck? Just waiting for the electricity to go off or something. Okay. All right. Yeah, I think the going back to the dream part, I think your unconscious can tap in to a realm where it can be precognitive. Okay, so that's where your dream prophecies come in. So you can attract events and attract future things that come to you through your unconscious, which is in your dream state. So I would do research and look into that if you're interested. Yeah, sensory deprivation would, I mean, if the outside things distract you, logic would say your psychic sense would become more clear. What do you girls say?
Yeah.
No.
I do it all the time. I'll lay on the couch with my eyes closed, my earbuds in, I can't hear a damn thing, and I'll, just feel what's around me. And of course, you know how my house is anyway, so yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Valerie. I do answer for them sometimes because, they're science experiments. Right, Missy?
We're like little guinea pigs.
Yeah, right.
He feeds us and waters us every once in a while.
Well, Yeah, I think it's all a part of the research. If you want to understand things objectively and have definitive objective answers to things, you have to set it up like that.
Sure.
In my opinion. Right?
Absolutely.
Yes. What is sensory deprivation? Darren, it's when you cut off your senses and deprive yourself of senses. If you look at a deprivation tank, for example, where they stick you in this little tent or this room where they put, goggles in your eyes to block your vision. They put earplugs in your ears so you can't hear, and they make you float in a tank of salt water so you're really buoyant, and you're sitting there in darkness with just your thoughts, and the water is temp to the point where you really don't feel a temperature change from your body to the water. You start to go in to yourself, and it can become very interesting.
Nick Groff did it on the last season of the show.
Paranormal Lockdown at the Monroe House.
Yep. He did it in the basement.
Quick Google search, Darren. You should pick up on it pretty quick.
Eddie Pence said, I've always had synchronicity in my dreams also. I've seen a vision in my dreams as in something was wrong with my stepmother last year. Had a few more the next couple of days and had a nightmare of her crying her eyes out as in someone died. That morning, my stepmother had a heart attack and passed away. This is what really opened my eyes.
So that reminds you of a crisis apparition, but it wasn't an apparition, it was a dream. So you had a dream that resembled a death, an oncoming death. So very, very interesting. It's very sad too. I'm sorry to hear about that. Boy, everybody's chiming in here. I love it. Say lack of distraction is so nice. I can tune in. That's definitely true. I agree with that. If you have ever watched the show Fringe, they do it on there. There's a lot of experiments and gimmicks about the deprivation thing. It's interesting, especially with the Gonzfall experiment. A lot of paranormal researchers do that to see if there's anything to it. And I just think if you're going to do the deprivation thing, how you're applying it is important. So maybe trying to do it during a paranormal investigation, if done correctly, it could be something useful. Let me know if you want to get into how to apply that, but I don't want to stray too far from synchronicity too much if we can help it, because I believe that our interpretation of these things is what the important part of it is. And I think the more objective you try to be and more critical you try to be of these events that seem to sync up with each other, the better. A lot of times I see people, I'm like, I keep on seeing the time. Every time I look at the clock, it says 11:11. Or every time I go somewhere, I see the number 3 or I see the number 7. I know Joe Vitale was constantly seeing the name 7 everywhere. I think there are some times that the mind will see things that they normally didn't see but occur all the time. I think things just naturally occur, like the numbers, the certain symbols, certain times on a clock. I think if you're drawing attention to certain things and you notice them, the brain will start to stitch together patterns naturally and allow you to interpret them in a supernatural way. I think that's not objectively paranormal. I think that's something the mind does. So if we can, differentiate what the mind does and what the mind is not doing, that is where we can find that leap forward in studying this phenomena.
Sam Thomas, Nocturnal, and Joe's on.
Oh, speak of the devil. See, I summoned Joe. That's the synchronicity that occurs.
Well, I have Ken Taylor and Bill Davis jumped on.
Welcome to the show.
Well,
we're talking. Oh, go ahead.
I have an interesting thing to share. a couple of weeks ago, I was aggravated. I was kind of, my nerves were fried, and I went outside, and this pigeon dove come flying up, which I hadn't seen him in months. I used to see him every day during the summer, but I hadn't seen him in a couple months. And I looked it up, and on the spirit totem, they're the symbol to relax.
Doves?
Pigeon doves, yes.
Oh, okay.
And so every time I get aggravated, I go outside, and that pigeon dove is sitting in the tree looking at me.
Okay, so the first part of the skeptical mind would say, is that a bird that's being perched there and found a home there recently?
Right.
And now that you have tried to make that first connection with it, since it's just there all the time, normally when you go out there, you look up, you see it, that's where it likes to perch all the time. Are you interpreting like that? Do you believe that that's possibly just normal that you're seeing it?
Well, like I said, I hadn't seen it since like August, and it's December.
Mm-hmm.
And it just so happened to be I went out there and he was perched in the tree staring at me, which he doesn't get in the tree. He wouldn't get in the tree. He would stay up by the bird feeder and walk around. But this time he was in the tree, like looking at me.
So, how would you experiment with trying to further find evidence that would support that this is synchronistic? What would you do?
I wouldn't have a clue. I wouldn't know where to start.
I know what I would do. I would stick a camera out there and see how often it's there.
WWJD.
What would Justin Brown do?
What downtown?
What would Justin? Oh. Yeah.
What would Justin do?
I would stick a camera out there, and I would see how often it's there. And when you walk out there, I want to see if it was already there when you were there, how frequent it comes. That's what I would do.
Valerie said, Missy, that is your guide or guides letting you know to relax. Whenever you feel that negative feeling, animals will come to you in your time of need.
See, that's a beautiful interpretation of it, right?
Yeah. Bill said I would experiment with different barbecue sauces.
Oh, Bill.
And then Josh said we have to piss Missy off at a random time and see if that bird shows up.
That's hilarious. Derek's closer, Josh, so we'll leave that up to Derek to perform the experiment.
He does that all the time.
Not intentionally, I don't think. Yep, probability. When you're looking into synchronicity, you're trying to understand what the probability of these events are, and you're trying to determine whether the probability is higher than we would think randomness would allow it to be. Okay, so there's a certain level of randomness in reality, right? So what are the chances of that bird being there? That's the first thing you would objectively look at. You would start studying the patterns and the frequencies of it being there. That's what the science person would do. The psychic person would automatically think, oh, it's, a sign from, the other side. It's synchronicity. So the takeaway from this show would be, how are you going to challenge your own beliefs? Should you challenge your own beliefs in these situations? Justin says yes. Do it at all cost. And why, do you ask? If you're interested in objectifying your own reality and your perception of it, that is why. It's a learning tool. It's an effective way to understand how the mind works versus what objective reality is. But I'm not going to be the person that tells you that reality is something outside of what you believe it is. I think that there is a happy, mysterious middle ground there. I think there's things that the mind and our free will and our attracting things and our psychic interactions with reality can give rise to some paranormal phenomena. That's what I'm interested in. That's what I want to study. And that's why I think it's valuable to try to objectify all these little things, because the more and more you try to objectify and experiment and validate these experiences, the more you know for sure that it is unexplainable, that it's not just probability, as Mothman stated. It is outside that logic.
Nocturnal asks, can synchronicity be sort of pareidolia?
Yeah, in a strange way. Basically, pareidolia is trying to give meaning to randomistic things. Okay, so yeah, it is in a way. That's it's an interesting way to look at it. The brain is a pattern, like I was saying before you joined in. The brain is a pattern-seeking machine, like an SLS camera. Okay, it's trying to make the pattern into something. Okay, so your brain is trying to make stick figures out of things when that is what it's wanting to see. So the more you're trying to pull yourself out of what you're wanting to see and studying the things that happen anyway, better off your research will be. That's a good way to explain it, if that's how you want to understand it.
Valerie said, I have gotten better at reading these signs and have come to realize that it is really our higher selves guiding us. We just need to open our mind, eyes, and heart to it. Once you give in to it, it really helps in your everyday life.
The higher self. When you think about that in physical terms, this is how I think about it in physical terms. The higher self is the collection of genetic memory, genetic consciousness that's in your body. Every single person before you that has helped stitch together and evolve your genetic makeup has some impact on who you are, possibly what you remember, possibly what you know, and makes up who you are. I believe that is a physical definition of your higher self. You are your parents, your grandparents, and all of those elders and ancestors before you in those subtle, unconscious, and even conscious ways that you normally don't pay attention to. Okay? The older you get, the more you remind yourself of your parents. The more time goes on and the more habitual you'll become. You'll see those habitual habits reflected in you from your parents, from your grandparents. You'll start to see those patterns develop. And does that higher self transcend into the spirit realm? Well, if the spirit realm exists, of course it does. To understand how that works, I think when I do Reiki sessions on people, the first thing I tap into is their molecules and cells. I feel like if you can do healing work on somebody at a molecular level that way, using psychic ability and using universal life force energy, the more you understand a person, the more you can understand their DNA and what makes them them. I think the more connection that way and the more understanding that you have of them is makes it more effective in you helping them. And I think the higher self physically does transcend the physical world into the spirit realm. That's just a food for thought there. Think of it in a spiritual term more than a physical, but yes, very true. Let me tell you something, Valerie. Perk your ears up, honey. The more you try to separate the physical from the spiritual, the more trouble you will have in understanding how they're connected. Try not to separate the two. Try to bring them together. Try to bridge the gap. The more you do that, the more you try to understand the physical along with the spiritual, the more enlightened and the broader your understanding of everything will be. You can't have one without the other. One can't exist without the other, and there is a very strong correlation and connection between the two. And I want you to understand both equally as well. And if you are to understand me at all, that is my pursuit of everything in my life. If I want to understand something, I want to understand it physically and spiritually in an equal way. I think that is the only way we will completely and totally understand. If you ignore one, that is not good. Not to say that you're doing that. You're under the bus or anything. Just wanted to emphasize that. Yes, balance of the two. Start reading about quantum physics right now.
Oh, that's like the worst thing you can tell anybody.
No, it's not. It's the best thing you can tell.
I'm just joking. To me, it would be.
So, Jess, it's about time.
Okay.
What's your 2 cents on synchronicity? What do you think? What words can you bring the show to add from your perspective?
Well, I mean, I think obviously it's such a thing. I believe I've experienced it. I still do. And it's mostly the same thing, of that happened about a year ago. But I mean, I don't know. Thanks, Justin, for putting me on the spot.
You're welcome.
But I don't know. I think there's different things of like what Nocturna was saying of paranoia and then synchronicity and coincidences. And, I mean, it's just like when you buy a new car, you start noticing all the cars that's like yours on the road that you never noticed before.
So what's that tell you about how the mind works? About perception. You just identified how the mind works. How would you apply that to this subject?
And until it's something that you are familiar with, you don't recognize it.
Do you think that can occur on the unconscious level? Like you were conscious of that, but can it slip in unconsciously?
I don't see why not.
So how do we go about defending ourselves against our own mind? It's on us.
Oh, I don't know. That'll be a phone call. I would call you.
My response to that is to study psychology. There is so much literature and a source of information that you can draw from, and that's why I led into the show. The whole topic, the application of it in the paranormal is Carl Jung. So that's where you will start. You want to see what Carl Jung and people who aligned and subscribe to the idea says. You want to research what people who challenged that idea and who opposed that idea and what they said, and then make up your own mind. Find yourself in the middle there and determine how you're going to look at things. Like if you've been paying attention to me, I'm always there in the middle. I'm like, 1 minute I'm super psychic guy, the other minute I'm like, you're full of shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm teetering there. I feel like as long as I'm teetering there, I am being objective as possible, but I cannot ignore each side.
See, I think before I became in tune with abilities, like I was like, oh, everything's a coincidence, but now looking back, I start trying to analyze things a little bit more. It's like the whole crow thing. And it still happens. I'm sure everybody knows that story. But I mean, I could be on the phone with my mom and we're just talking about random. And all of a sudden we bring up my stepfather. And sure enough, here comes one single crow. And I mean, it's not the same time every day. It's random times and stuff like that. And I actually take a picture and I send it to my mom. I'm like, oh, look, look who's here, So, I mean, you're looking for a connection, yes, but in a way, it's so hard to decipher, is it really them or is it, but it's just, to me, I believe the connection's made. Yeah. And just because, I mean, it's not the same time. It's not, of I'm out there calling it or, anything like that. I mean, it's weird.
Well, the mind's weird. And I think the only way to know or try to challenge your belief and your perception is to pay attention when the crow comes all the time.
Right. And it's weird because with having abilities, it's almost like I'm feeling a different way. But if I'm driving down the road, and of course I'm going to see a crow here and there, like it's just like, yeah, it's a
crows will land in your yard. Would this be fair to say that crow or that species of bird will land in your yard in front of you at times that don't mean it?
Yes,
that's what I'm saying.
Right, and I've had it, and I believe from what I've always been told, crows is the most like skittish, bird, whatnot, and excuse me, I've had it about 6 feet from me, staring at me.
They're highly intelligent. They're probably the most intelligent.
Yeah, just sitting there and just staring at me about 6 feet away from me.
Right. Yes, Laura. Yes, I agree with that. The reader, you have to look for other things before you say everything is paranormal. That's how you know it's real.
Right.
I think sometimes it's hard to know. I think that's what the mysterious nature of the paranormal and in reality itself and trying to determine what's real and what's not can be hard. And with this analogy with the bird, I had my own bird experience, and that's why there's a bird in the logo for Interface Death. Do I question and challenge that experience? Yes. But the way it happened was fucking strange. Okay? There was a strangeness to it. So I feel like when you believe in something, when something's true within you, it does not require evidence. I think that can shape the brain in a way that does not stem from evolution through survival theories. The most top theories will tell you or try to convince you that the only reason we have these faculties, of our mind and of our bodies is because there's a reason for survival. We eat because we'll die if we don't. So we need hands, fingers, teeth, eyes, all these senses. That is a driving force behind the theories of evolution and the reason why we have these faculties. But I believe we do have faculties of the mind that have nothing to do with survival in the physical sense. In the emotional, metaphysical sense, yes, that could be possible. The reason why we can survive in groups and communities without killing each other is because of the metaphysical things, religion, connection between, someone else emotionally and metaphysically, sharing, experiences of a higher purpose or an outer existence outside of what physically happens. I think there's some kind of separation from reality that is part of survival. Okay, or we could possibly drive ourselves insane. How do we cope with death? How do we cope with, living in society that's constantly, trying to attack us, oppress us, and do things to us? How are we going to combat those things? Hinduism came up with karma, okay? Catholicism and the Quran and even Jewish faiths come up with, entities like, demons and the elementals, what the hell are they called? Jinn. There you go. So there's these supernatural things put into place to cope with these things, and that's part of the survival. Am I missing something in chat here? I heard someone speak. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
Nope. That wasn't
I am
me.
wrong. Okay. Thank you.
You're finally wrong, and I can prove it.
I'm wrong all the time. Shut up. I had a raccoon come to me last night. I love raccoons. You got to read Bill's comments sometimes. Sometimes he feels left out because we don't want to leave him out. Now you need to tell the story. Go ahead.
Eddie, right before that, Eddie said, have you heard of anyone having synchronicity in their dreams and calling out the future but you don't know, happened again with me last month.
Yeah. Happens all the time to a lot of people that I know.
Joe says M City wants to know your take on phantom raindrops.
I think the whole phenomena of water just manifesting out of midair, no reason, is interesting. There is times where I felt like there is witchcraft or some type of cultism at play. I think it can happen naturally through psychokinetics. It's very mysterious. I think it depends on the situation. I don't think there's one reason why it would happen, but I think when the psychic abilities of the people involved are mixed with environmental factors that give rise to the thinning of the veil, the mixing of dimensions, and the bringing forth of the paranormal realm, I think things can have errors. A good analogy would be a glitch in the matrix. Okay, so phantom water could be some sort of glitch in the matrix, so to speak, where some type of strange manifestation to occur that doesn't really have a meaning. Okay, spontaneous fires, spontaneous manifestation of water, spontaneous wind. Okay, those sorts of things. I think all those things are involved in the same type of phenomena in the group of phenomena. So whether it be spontaneous, emergent, or intended, there seems to be a similar mechanic when it comes to the interaction between the psychic self and the environmental factors. There you go.
He also replied halfway during your thing, how phantom raindrops apply to synchronicity.
Oh. Okay. Well, if synchronicity is actually occurring, then you can interpret that as a sign. Okay, you can interpret that as something that is meaningful. How you would interpret that would be interesting. I would have to be in a situation and I would have to analyze that myself. If you would be more detailed, something tells me that you're talking about something that you have witnessed or researched or read about. So if that's true, please elaborate. It sounds like there is a special circumstance here, right, ladies?
We are locked up.
Yeah, we're buffering on YouTube.
Okay. Yeah. We just had a lag spike. It looks like we're coming back.
We're good now.
Yep, we're coming back, folks. Sorry. If you have to refresh, we will. But instead of the live stream just stopping and glitching, I got it set to where it just kind of turns into mush, and then slowly comes back. Welcome back, everyone.
Joe says M City thanks you.
You're welcome, M City. You're welcome. I'm glad that I had some feedback for you. I have experienced the manifestation of water one time. It's fucking weird. And it's 9 o'clock. Should we keep going? It looks like we're still going strong here. I feel like we should still keep discussing here because, people are still intrigued, you're still engaged. What is your take on spontaneous combustion? I think that it has similarities with the spontaneous manifestation of water. I think that there could be psychic components involved. If you've read the book Firestarter and the whole idea behind that book, I think that's a possibility. All the events that involve people just bursting into flames, that is interesting. I have only speculation on that. I don't want to speculate too much because I don't see myself as very researched with that. So I'll look into it if you want me to, but I have so many irons in the fire, it's kind of hard.
Robert Murphy said, I haven't heard I haven't heard of others having issues with the water drops. I have had that occur multiple times while I was in my car. No rain or water outside of the car.
That's interesting. What's even more interesting is it's not always just elements like fire and water and stuff. Sometimes it's objects like pennies, like coins.
Remember at Madison Seminary?
Well, I've always had. I remembered my whole origin ghost story where that the pennies would fly through the air at my house.
Yep.
Yeah, there's something strange going on with coins. There's something there with that.
Gina Rutledge said, "Is that what that is when I'm in my car sometimes and or somewhere? It is definitely not raining and feel rain or water dropping on me."
It could, or you could have some type of skin sensation that felt like water hit you. It could be one or the other. You would want to look for evidence of wetness and water. If you found that, then yeah.
RU Media said, "It's your time, brother. Take all you need."
It's all mine. Give it to me. That's David, by the way.
Okay.
He's incognito.
What happened at Madison? Eddie wants to know.
We were in that room where you go through the back door, and there's that big room where people usually set up all their equipment and begin. A penny just came out of the middle of the air and fell on me and landed on the floor. It hit me and landed on the floor. And that's all that happened. I didn't have any change on me. No one was standing around me throwing coins at me, so it was freaking weird. I mean, I have no idea what that is about, but it's something. What was Laura saying? There was a guard at the mall I used to work at that had water thrown at him, and he was alone, and there was no water.
Okay, Josh has a question.
Okay.
He said, "What about socks mysteriously disappearing? Explain that one."
And the Tupperware lids.
Lack of organizational skills.
Wait, what? No, because this is what happens, Josh Bender. You get holes in your socks and I throw away the holes, the holy ones. And Bill says, "Just can."
No, Josh doesn't have any real questions. That's not a real question, man. Not a real one. It's a funny one. No, I haven't felt wet at all.
Valerie said it's usually the date on the coin that has a message.
Okay.
Adam Kimmel just joined.
If he talks to us, I would be surprised. What's up, Adam? What do you think about synchronicity, brother? And go. Spare us a minute of your busy schedule. Synchronicity is the language of the divine. That's what Mothman historian would say, right? Is that what you would say, dude? If he's still watching, raise your hand.
Nocturnal asks, "What do you think of apports?"
Wait a minute, what? Nocturnal asked that?
Yeah.
Or that was, what do you think about apports? I don't know what apports is. Don't know. My old job, we would find dimes all the time, some even on the counter that was not there the night before. I'm with you on that. I have no idea what's going on with the change.
Josh said, "Hey, I'm working."
Quit typing then, buddy. What do you think about apports? I don't know what apports are.
Here, I'll look it up.
Look it up.
And you can read Mothman's while I look it up.
Yep. Question: do you let syncs guide your research? The topics you focus on, you collaborate with, etc. Is that faulty? I must say, with me, a topic that I've seen a sync with takes priority. I don't try to discount all of the synchronicities I see. I do find them when I'm researching things. Like, it feels like it's coming to me. It feels like I'm attracting these things to me. So I do subscribe to that belief. I believe that is possible. I believe that there is reason to challenge those possibilities and try to objectify them. So if anything that I subscribe to or believe that is possible, I try to objectify. I don't always do it with everything because that would drive me absolutely insane, but I think there's value in doing it to a certain degree, and there's probably value in that. He also says, also apply the secret cipher of the euphonauts. Let me touch base on ciphers. Numbers don't always apply to the meaning behind things. Numerology can be tricky, and I think a lot of physicists even fudge or try to tweak numbers to fit their models and their theories. And I think if you play with numbers too much, you will eventually start finding the pareidolia occurring. Okay? You're starting to make sense of randomness and chaos when there's no meaning or no phenomena that's actually occurring that you're trying to reach for. Codes are a thing. I think you can write in code and a cipher will decode it, but I don't think you should apply ciphers to things to the point where you get meaning where there is none.
Nocturnal says objects manifesting out of thin air.
Oh, yeah, that happens. My take on it is I have no freaking idea. I can only speculate. I can only say that it is like a glitch in the Matrix. It seems like it because there's usually when it happens, there's no reason for it. The water coming out of the air, coins manifesting, flying across the room, things disappearing from your house like your keys, your toothbrush, whatever, and then reappearing either in the same spot later or in other places. I think those are potential glitches in the Matrix. What did I miss?
Bill's comment.
Uh-oh. Well, let's read it.
If you play with your numbers too much, you will go blind.
Words to live by. Words to live by. Our viewership just keeps going up on Justin Brown Paranormal Research. I don't want to stop. Don't stop. Robert Murphy said don't stop, so I got to keep going, right? He probably just tuned in. He usually gets off work or gets on his internets around the time we end. So I understand why he doesn't want us to stop. Just got a new one and they still disappear. What's Josh talking about?
Washer. The wash machine.
He really wants to know where the hell the socks are going.
He's still on it.
He's still on it. I feel you. I have been missing some socks.
So you don't understand how many pairs of socks this boy has. Like he just bought another pack. And it's like, can we go through your old one? No. He wants them all. Put them in the rotation.
What if the syncs lead you to disturbing or uncomfortable conclusions or topics? Do you continue to follow them? How much do you trust the process? I don't trust it that much. I think there's limitations. Much like my review of the Hellier I gave you. There's goose chases. You can go on goose chases. You can go down rabbit holes with no ends, no bottoms. Most rabbit holes do not have bottoms. But I like to pursue the ones that have potential bottoms. So, I think the more you try to decode and add your own psychological ciphers to things, more goose chasey it will become. I think you should only invest your energy and time with things that are plausible. That's how I would answer that. Josh says, I'm a collector. Pics or it's not true. You need sock pics.
I'll send them to you.
Okay, thank you. Laura says she's always buying socks. Hey, socks, you need them. Do you have any Paracoms you will be attending next year? Yep, we'll definitely are going to the Battlefield Bash in Gettysburg. Outside of that, we're not sure. I'm going to try to make that a little bit more of a priority next year. because we're going to try to allocate our time and energy and funds to some different things. But we have to talk with Josh, Derek, Missy, Jessica about those things because they all invest in that time and energy and money. So we're all in agreement with doing more Paracons. We will do. What was you about to say? Hi, Derek.
Hello.
I thought you. Jess, were you about to say something?
I was just laughing at Bill. I don't know if that's what it was. His socks are mammograms. Probably an L and R.
Yeah, people are just talking. Just can't wait to see you guys. Yeah, it's always a pleasure to see you guys. I'm interested on what Laura and the rest of the gang that splintered off from EPS are going to do. If they're going to fly their own flag, come up with their own group, or what they're going to do. Let us know in the chat what your plans are.
Breaking news right here.
Yeah, because I'm trying to pay attention, but if you've already announced things, I'm sorry if I don't know.
Yeah, they haven't. I haven't seen nothing put out yet. Now, okay. Did we want to mention any of them about that thing going on in Cincinnati in March? Ain't we doing that in March?
Oh, the coffee shop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we are I do have that scheduled. Thanks for reminding me. When the hell do I have that? Let me look at my calendar.
It's the first Friday the 13th.
In March, right?
Yeah, it's in March.
You picked that, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay. March 13th. Lola's Coffee Shop in Cincinnati, Ohio. Lola's Coffee Bar. This guy that's into the paranormal, he owns a coffee bar. So if you're in the Cincinnati area and you want to see us, we'll be at Lola's Coffee Shop from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. So that's our first scheduled thing of 2020. I will give you updates. I'm trying to salvage the stuff from the archive of the afterlife and get it out before Christmas. I can't promise that it'll happen. There's some strangeness that happened with our equipment and everything, our investigators. So hopefully that will just cap off season 6. I'm trying, guys.
We just need to go back.
There's going to be a how do you want to say this? I'm going to try to rebrand this show and the Necromancer Live show. I'm going to try to make it better. This show and Necromancer Live show is going to be going to radio networks and podcasting sites and apps. That is one of my main goals. So please, when I plug Patreon and PayPal, if you want to help us financially support us in that way, it will help because it costs money to buy streaming services for to get your audio out to radio, internet radio. So if you want to suggest any radio networks to me, I would be open ears about that. And Mothman says, Justin, do you want to go look for goblins in the caves? We just follow the balloons in tin cans. We will be bringing up the Levelin' Frogman and possibly doing either a documentary or a docu-series on cryptids next year. I have an idea in the works. I haven't brought it to the group yet because we usually do that January, February, like middle January, beginning February. I have some other things, other irons put in the fire for next year. So look out for this show and Necromancer Live show being rebranded, going to radio and staying at all these social media platforms they are now. We're just trying to make the show bigger. We're trying to cross promote. We're working with RU Media. We're working with Paratalk Radio, Paranormal Quest. We're trying to branch out. We're trying to cross promote. And I think that's the only way we can grow and the only way we can become better. Next year is going to be very different, but yeah, hopefully that we can have the opportunity of meeting folks that we have not met yet in the community, because that would be one of the most valuable things I can think of. Oh, did Val go away? I'm sorry. Good night, Val. She's probably gone now. Let's collab when the weather is nicer. I'm going to give you I will DM you when we do the cryptid thing. You will be involved in that because I feel like I would be dead to you if I didn't message you about it. I mean, why wouldn't I? Because he's already in ground zero down there, right? That would be kind of dumb not to utilize that resource. You will definitely hear from me. It's going to start in Loveland. It could branch out all the way through Kentucky and West Virginia, buddy. We might do Hellier 3.0, Justin style. It may come to that. I don't know. It's in the works. We may do it. All right. Well, I guess we can wrap this show up, guys. I think we've pretty much exhausted my thoughts and your thoughts on Synchronicity. I think that we did it justice. I think we had a great conversation. Maryland, you're gonna kill me. I can't say no. If goblins and frogmen take us to Maryland and cryptids take us there, then I can't say no. We'll see. We're going to try to collab with as much people as possible next year. We're going to try to make that a priority. But thank you, Jess and Missy, for doing a great job like you always do, helping with the show. I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you for just being you guys, just being yourselves, joining the chat, talking to me, interacting with me. I always learn so much. Always find value. And always enjoy you guys. I would not be doing this show without your support and your engagement and the support I get, through Patreon, PayPal, and throughout social media. It's taken me down a very lovely path that I would not trade for anything. So, interfacedeath.net. I know most of you all have seen the website. Okay, most of you guys, I have not seen any. Well, Ken Ace Taylor, I am not familiar, so maybe if you're watching on YouTube, Justin Brown Paranormal Research is my personal blog, but Interface Death is on Facebook as well. Interface Death is on Instagram and Twitter. Patreon.com is the way you can support us financially, whether it be just $1 a month or more, and get rewarded for it and be a part of contributing to all this online content that you're seeing. Subscribe to YouTube if you have not already at Interface Death Paranormal Research. If you don't want to do Patreon and you just want to do a one-time donation, whether it just be something small or significant, PayPal is there. And you can join us on Discord. If you're on Facebook, you can join us at United Paranormal Society. We talk about everything paranormal there. Send me a join request and I will accept it. And let's extend our thanks to our Patreon supporters. Clay Borman, Katie Turner, RJ Murphy, Scotty Fox, Casey Schreiner, Jessica Bias, Paranormal Reporter, Anthony Grothis, Bonnie Ring, Heather Elliott, Joe Vitale, The Ghost Guild, Kelly McConkey, Tony Felosi, Betty Kegley, Cherry Capital, Shadow Seekers, Deadlight LLC, General 7. Okay? That's who makes not only this show possible, but keeps it here. As long as I'm getting support and engagement, I'm not going anywhere. I promise. So this is the way that you can make sure that it doesn't, all right? That it gets better and that you put you into it, all right? That's what makes it awesome. That's where I'm going to leave it. Necromancer will start up in January. I'm going to start booking soon and bring you, like I said, a new branding to that and more guests. I am doing more cross promotions, so stick around for some new. There's one new promo that I definitely want you guys to see at the end of the show, so don't go anywhere. I'll read your comments here in a second, Mothman, but thank you guys very much. I love you in my heart. And I think we have one more show next Tuesday. We'll probably do it on nature beings and ultra terrestrials. So stick around for that. Oh, Jess will be gone. Okay. So one more show for 2019. We're going to start up 2020 in January. Love you guys. Stick around for some promotions. See you next time. you have that drive? That morbid curiosity to explore the darkness? Do you have what it takes to brave the night? You do? Good.
Dead light. For those who aren't afraid to see what lurks in the night.
Cell, I'd like to see you. What the fuck was that?
Lost your audio from your lavalier. Did the power go off?
Well, I felt like I got pinched, but it wasn't like a
Did the display turn off?
This just died.
You gotta be kidding me.
It just died.
Okay, that's brand new lithium-ion batteries. We'll keep rolling. Dude, there's...
Yeah, but at least that one's definitely documented it. That's still rolling, that camera.
Oh, yeah, this is rolling too.
Yeah, these just freaking died.
Let me double check.
I held it in, the light came on to the title screen. And
Dude, I'm starting to feel really, like, weird sensations touching me, dude. I don't know what's going on.
yeah, I felt like something... Yeah, like just dead as a doornail. And those are brand new.
In recent years, the word paranormal has taken on a new place in thoughts and minds of people everywhere. Once a word associated with blasphemy and the supernatural, paranormal has entered mainstream thoughts and conversations. 42% of American population believe in either ghosts or hauntings today. Within that, the discussions in the media have tripled in the last 20 years. In 2016, a radio talk show rose from the darkness in New York and now has become a popular beam of light with a no-holds-barred paranormal discussion. It's raw, live, and sometimes out of control. It's real and here, allowing all that care to listen to new ideas, new thoughts, old superstitions, and sometimes the downright weird. You want different? You want off the cuff? You want edgy? Then Paratalk Radio is what you should be listening to. It's 2 hours of guests, interviews, skepticism, unusual topics, and outside-the-box strange that pushes every button on the soundboard of life. So again, discover Paratalk Radio. Monday nights on WLFE DB Radio Network, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. Paratalk Radio can be seen as live videocast on Facebook and heard on audio streams through iHeart, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Spreaker, Comcast, Radio.com, and so many more. Join Ted and Cindy every Monday with guests and topics that will open a pathway to the unknown, the supernatural, and the paranormal.
This is Jason Bland, host of Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup, where we stream live as a webcast every Sunday night, 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern, with guests who will blow your mind. Live ghost box sessions where you can call into the show to see if the spirits will talk to you, and the world wide web of weird with the latest in paranormal news and evidence. We're bringing the weird every Sunday night, 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Don't forget to follow and subscribe.
Hi, I'm Eric McGill.
And I'm David Woolever.
And we are paranormal investigators welcoming you to join us as we put new theories to the test and attempt to explain strange phenomena. We invite you on a journey that will give you a glimpse into our haunted minds. Hi guys, Eric McGill here, RU Media Network and Our Haunted Minds. I just want to talk to you guys real quick about the awesome stuff going on behind the scenes. The Our Haunted Minds video is coming along swimmingly, and it's really going to be awesome. As you guys know, Adam Kimmel is joining us for the first investigation with Dave and I. And then after that, we may have Chris, or we may have Becca, or we may have Ashley. But it's really exciting, and you guys are not going to want to miss this first one. A lot of awesome stuff happened.
Hello everyone, I'm the Goose.
And I'm Michael Bradley.
Is that what you're calling yourself tonight?
Heisenberg.
Not the Angry Kitty.
Max Braggins.
Anywho, we're the hosts of the Cryptic Paranormal Show.
On our show, we'll talk about all things paranormal except Bigfoot. He freaks me out.
Really, dude?
You know that, but I mean, I guess we could talk about him as long as I don't have to see him.
We will talk. As a matter of fact, we will talk about all fields in the paranormal realm.
And every week we will interview new guests, celebrities, and researchers in the field, and all our comrades in the paranormal underground.
And we aren't afraid to ask the hard questions no one else will. Our conversations are rooted in our own experiences as paranormal investigators.
So be prepared to have your minds, your opinions, and your beliefs challenged.
And let's not forget to warn them about all the tomfoolery and shenanigans. Let's just say, you might want to put the kiddos to bed before tuning in. They don't call us the paranormal shock jocks for nothing.
Do they call us that?
If they don't, they will.
So be sure to tune into the Cryptic Paranormal Show every Thursday night from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, only on RU Media Network.
Spook you later, crypto heads.
Bye.
Shut up.
Welcome into the Abyss with your host, Sean Gilmore. Open your mind, both of your ears, and all three of your eyes to discuss all things supernatural with weekly special guests. We believe that we all learn from each other and we all have a lot to learn. What will you learn today? Here is your host, Sean Gilmore.